This week's Extra Life on F5 Live is proudly powered by Loot Crate. Whether you're a gamer, anime fan, or pop culture aficionado, Loot Crate has got a crate for you. They curate a bundle of collectibles, apparel, figures, and more that you can't find anywhere else. Crates get delivered to your door. It is like getting an awesome birthday present from yourself every month. And to learn more about the crates that are available and the deals that are going on right now, you can go to f5live.tv/lootcrate. Alante is talking a lot in the chat room, and most of it is him correcting his previous messages, which is hilarious. Anyway, if you're not joining us live, f5live.tv/join us. So Rockstar released recently their new version of the GTA 3 trilogy, to much, I wouldn't say ambivalence, because it's a little less than that. People were excited and then disappointment. To much disappointment on PC. So on October 11th, here's our timeline leading up to where we are right now. On October 11th, they pulled the old games, the original 3, from their store for PC. Because on November 11th, they released the definitive edition, the new remastered trilogy. And if you're like us here in the office, you were probably watching at least one streamer play the game on launch day, and that may not have worked out in your best favor, because, was it special if they were playing on PC. All kinds of interesting issues. My favorite, though, is that people are not shaped like people. They have like jelly arms sometimes, and their shoulders start like at the bottom of their chin and go up. Just a cornucopia of chaos. And so later that day, the PC store, the entire Rockstar Games PC game store, stopped working. And they didn't really say anything about it. And 29 hours later, the store came back. Whoop. Except the definitive edition was missing. And while people had originally suspected that maybe the new game had crashed the store, no. What Rockstar said was that some inappropriate files had been included in the release. That could have meant that now by inappropriate, well, not inappropriate, that wasn't their exact wording, but files that weren't supposed to be there. What a lot of gamers who hadn't played on PC assumed, because everybody who had played or watched PC knew why the games were gone. Because, it was bad. But if you hadn't played on PC and you heard that it came back and you couldn't purchase it right now, you might have assumed that maybe, oops, we accidentally included music that we didn't relicense for the new version of the game. Some people had conjectured that maybe there was some uncompiled code in there. No, definitely not what it was. On the 19th, this past week, the company finally came clean and said, all right, our bad. This was a disaster. We apologize. The exact wording was, the updated versions of these classic games did not launch in a state that meets our own standards of quality or the standards our fans have come to expect. Well, that's very true. They were worse than the originals, which is pretty impressive. So the company is trying to make it right. They're going to do a whole bunch of patches across the games to try and fix some of the problems. Alante and I had a lot of fun watching as one guy was driving through a tunnel and another car was driving above him, mostly in the wall, through the tunnel. The driver's side wheels were about all we could see sticking out of the wall. And of course, the strangely shaped people that were clearly, they ran some sort of an AI to try and clean up the imagery. But some people just look weird and plastic, like they had Botox that went wrong. Some of them were physically shaped wrong. Alante saying it was amazing. Almost certainly talking about the car because we were laughing a ton at that one. So they're going to do patches to fix the problems. And if you have already purchased this casserole of nonsense that is the definitive edition on PC, they're going to reinstate the old games in the store, and they're going to give you those as well, so that you can play the originals while they fix this absolute chaos. My problem is that it took them a week to admit what was actually happening. It took from the 12th to the 19th for them to go, no, we pulled it down because the games suck. Our bad. Sorry about that. As if they thought, well, if we can fix this in 2 days, we can put it back in the store and continue to blame it on a file that was inappropriate, that wasn't supposed to be in the release. Which doesn't make me happy, but at least I guess they're trying to make it right. I don't know.
It sounds like office politics, right?
Yeah.
Somebody wanted it to be released by a certain time. They weren't able to properly hit the release date. They released, somebody else probably said, too bad, we have to release no matter what. We can always, there was probably some executive who said something like, we can always patch it later. And then chaos ensued, and they realized that they shouldn't do it like this. And then maybe they still figured, hey, we can fix this in a few days. And I'm sure somewhere there's someone there who was the truth teller who said, we can't come out with these by this date. They're going to not work. And somebody else who said, too bad, we have to come out with them. And the end result was this chaos. And then the person who probably said you have to come out with them by this date said, oh, I'm sure you can just fix it in 2 days. Do whatever you need. Stay up all night, whatever. And then they realized that was not going to happen. So I'm sure there was some type of internal struggle like that.
Almost certainly.
Somehow I'm reminded of, because I guess I just watched it the other day, the USS Callister episode of Black Mirror. Have you seen that? Yeah, where they have to have the patch for the game out by a certain day, and the guy asks him, can we add these new features? And he's not paying attention, and he says, sure, yeah, add them. And it ends up that they have to delay it till Christmas Eve to roll out the patch. And I was thinking, who would roll out a patch on Christmas Eve? That sounds like a bad idea.
Yeah, it does. But we see all kinds of day one patches for Christmas launch titles and things, so
yeah, I mean,
wouldn't be a first time.
I guess the lesson here to all of the game publishers should probably be, you're better off delaying a release than releasing it with problems. I don't know what the final numbers were for Cyberpunk 2077, but my guess is that by having problems when it first released, it really chilled enthusiasm for the game. I mean, granted, the fact that they kept delaying it, at a certain point, they were really just embarrassed and had to release it, I guess. But even then, they had problems, and it ended up that maybe what people would have really enjoyed as a game, but it just got such a negative reputation. Right. So I guess you're better off delaying than releasing something with problems.
Yeah, there's another game that did this, that when it released, chat, tell me the game we were talking about the other day, Alante. where it released and it was so bad that it was bad. And then, but today it's a good, solid, enjoyable game that is almost unrecognizable versus its release game because it was so bad. I think it might have been No Man's Sky that we were talking about that was this. But I really like in chat. Yeah, it was No Man's Sky. About the GTA stuff. If you wiggled your cars while driving, the geometry of the car widens, seemingly infinitely. So you can make your car bigger as you drive.
It says lots of Easter eggs.
Easter eggs aren't supposed to be that easy to find, though.
That's true.
It's not supposed to be just general operation of the game. And Alante reminded me Spore, although Spore was entirely based on delays that it lost its mojo, but it was delayed by 13 years. So, that's a little different than being delayed by 3 or 6 months. Spore was delayed by 13 years, but it saw 2 console generations come and go in its development cycle.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still waiting for... I'm a big fan of the Lego games, and I'm still been waiting like 3 years or something for the Lego Star Wars Skywalker Saga to come out. And
yes,
that was, I think, at least first shown in like 2018 or something at E3. And they had trailers for it that made it look like it was going to be ready. I mean, how complicated could a Lego game be? They've done Lego games many times, but there's been no new Lego game in like 3 years, and everyone is waiting on the Skywalker Saga.
I think I just saw that that they just launched a mobile title in the traditional Lego game series. I'm not confident on what I'm saying.
There are always mobile titles that have something to do with Lego, but are they like the games that also...
I got a press release on this one, which is unusual. I don't usually get press releases on Lego mobile titles, but this one was.
I'll have to check it out, but it would be absolutely no fun on mobile because for me the fun of them is that I play them with my son on the TV. So
sure. From chat, Anthem was another doomed and prematurely released game, and that one was heartbreaking. Yeah, Anthem was theoretically, if that one had congealed a little more before they released it, that one had the possibility of having some esports implications, but in the end, Anthem just fell apart underneath its own weight, which was a shame because there was so much hype over that one, and then it just didn't do any of it, which was a shame. But yeah, I mean, we could probably sit here all night and list games that came out too early. Not all of them collapse under their own weight, though. Hopefully that won't be the case here. The fact that these games are 800 years old probably helps. It's like, oh yeah, it's fine. We'll wait a little longer on these because I'd like to play them with better graphics. So, but yeah, No Man's Sky, Spore, which went the other direction, Cyberpunk, they all suffered from some development hell. Hello, YouTube. Thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this episode of F5 Live Refreshing Technology. If you did, please subscribe to the channel down below, and of course hit the notification bell because we know that subscriptions don't mean much on YouTube anymore. If you've got topics that you'd like us to talk about in the future, please comment them down below. And if you'd like to not follow us on YouTube, there's lots of ways that you can follow along with our content by going to plughitslive.com/subscribe. There you'll see all of our shows and all of the ways that you can watch, listen, and follow along.